Here's a little secret about humanity. We're good at dying. Ask anyone from Mars or Venus. Sure, they might have more advanced tech, better ships, bigger guns, but they wouldn't last a week on Earth's battlefields. How do I know? Because I've been on those battlefields. I've fought wars on planets you haven't even heard of. And I'm telling you, if aliens want to conquer Earth, they'll need to bring their best. So when the first alien ship landed near Saturn, everyone got really excited. Maybe this is our chance to end the endless cycle of fighting. Maybe we can join forces with a superior race and usher in a new era of peace. Or maybe, just maybe, we could learn something new about ourselves. You see, ever since we evolved, we've been fighting something. Whether it was rival tribes or intergalactic wars, we humans have always been ready to fight. It's in our nature. But it takes more than nature to win a war. It takes science, strategy, planning. And no one does planning better than the Confederation, an alliance of 600 races spanning over 70,000 star systems. To them, Earth was nothing more than a Class 4 biosphere, teeming with oxygen, radiation-hardened flora and fauna, and a strangely aggressive ape species that hadn't even invented faster-than-light travel. We weren't on their diplomatic radar. We weren't on any radar. Not until it was far too late. Our first contact wasn't a meeting of minds or a grand alliance. It was an accident. A Jorvathi scout vessel dropped out of slipspace near Saturn to recalibrate its navigation drive. A mundane, routine procedure. They didn't scan for intelligent life because they didn't expect any. Earth was cataloged as feral, and feral systems weren't worth the fuel to observe. The ship was hit by a piece of human space junk within 12 minutes. It was a dead satellite, tumbling through space at 7 kilometers per second. An artifact of a long-forgotten communications array from our early space age. The impact didn't destroy the Jorvathi craft, but it jammed their antenna array and knocked the vessel into a degrading orbit. They were still trying to send for help when the ISS picked up the anomaly. The images made it to NASA, then to the US military, then to Russia, then China, then to the black budget intelligence circles no one admits exist. Within 36 hours, a global emergency meeting was held. Not to panic, not to surrender, but to prepare. For the first time in history, every major Earth government worked together without bullets or backstabbing. Within 72 hours, they realized this ship wasn't from Earth. By the fourth day, the Jorvathi pilot was taken into custody by a covert joint task force beneath a bunker in the Nevada desert. The pilot was semi-amphibious, large-eyed, and biologically incompatible with most Earth life except humans. In fact, the alien was already dying, not because of some pathogen or weapon. No, he was dying because the air we breathed was too rich for his blood, our food too aggressive for his gut flora, and our emotional intensity, our mere presence too overwhelming for his mind. He had never seen a creature like us. Humans speak with their whole bodies. Their thoughts ripple through facial expressions. Their emotions saturate the air. To a Jorvathi, it was like being trapped in a hurricane of chaotic noise, all generated by calm-looking predators in civilian clothing. They tried to interrogate him gently. It didn't work. By day 6, the alien suffered a complete mental breakdown. By day 7, he was dead. And we finally got a look at the ship's databanks. That's when everything changed. The databases were encrypted in layers of alien code, but we had something they didn't. Desperation. Hackers, linguists, AIs, quantum engineers, they all worked in tandem to crack the digital vault. It took months, but what we found inside was like discovering fire. Star maps, trade routes, military hierarchies, species rankings, and the most important part, we were nowhere on it. Not listed, not monitored, not feared. Just an obscure footnote in a forgotten Scouts Field report. Aggressive bipedal primates, high reproductive rate, rudimentary nuclear technology. self-destructive tendencies. No slipspace capability. Risk? Minimal? Minimal. They called us minimal. Every government leader on Earth saw that line. And something in them changed. Something ancient and primal. For the first time in recorded history, humanity was unified not by fear, not by hope, but by insult. We would not be ignored. That was 23 years ago. We didn't make ourselves known. We didn't broadcast our presence or send ambassadors. No, we studied. We dissected, we adapted, and above all, we trained. You see, they made one critical mistake. They believed that war was about numbers or lasers or ships that bend light. But war was never about that. It was about the will to endure. Humans have refined suffering into art. We've got generations of soldiers who fought without armor, civilians who lived through bombings, doctors who stitched wounds during missile strikes, children who grew up in rubble and became builders, poets who wrote beauty from blood. And they never saw us coming. We learned to mimic their communication protocols and injected viruses into their relay networks. We mapped their infrastructure using stolen sensors. We built ships in the asteroid belt using camouflage and silence. We printed weapons with alien blueprints and modified them to run on Earth's chaotic, high-output energy sources. We didn't conquer a planet. We deleted it. It started with the planet Drovax, a small agricultural world that fed 8 systems. One night its moons fell from orbit, one by one like pearls from a broken necklace. No warning, no declaration, just silence. Then came the blackout of the Varan trade spine. Every slipspace beacon from Sector 12 to 15 went offline in the span of 5 minutes. Thousands of vessels stranded, supply chains crippled. Whispers started. Panic followed. But no one suspected us. They blamed the four-ray pirates, the Eltari dissenters, solar flares. Humans were still minimal. It wasn't until the Battle of Trelos that we emerged from the shadows. Not because we were discovered, no, because we wanted to be. The galaxy was ours to take. Most of the Confederation fled to the core worlds, the Trinary, the Octant, the Scepters. 3 governments, 3 cultures, 3 chances to end it all. We crushed the Trinary first. It was easy. Too easy. They surrendered without a fight. Turns out centuries of pacifism breeds pacifism. No opposition meant no glory. We held our fire on the Octant. Those people actually fought back. They launched a full fleet action. Bombs fell on Tokyo. Fighters met our drones over the Pacific, but they never stood a chance. Even the Octant underestimated us. As for the Scepters, the ruling cabal of hyper-capitalists, well, let's just say there's no comebacks in space. Once your economy craters, you don't get a second chance. With those 3 gone, the rest of the Confederation evaporated. Planets broke away, huddling together for safety. Others declared neutrality. But it didn't matter anymore. The die was cast. The order was broken. What came next was up to us. We started with the basics. The Treaty of Universal Suffrage. Every sentient species, every living system gets a vote. No more herding people into sectors, controlling who knows what. Next, we established the Unified Pre-FTL Alliance, bringing together every pre-FTL species under one banner. This was about security. If you have the ability to travel faster than light, it doesn't mean everyone else does. You have to protect the slow ones. Then we went to work rebuilding the galaxy. Not for them, for us. We built new homes for refugees, initiated research into universal medicine, sent expeditions to chart the unknown regions. We had to start somewhere new. The old empire didn't want us. Maybe they were right. Maybe we did need to find our own way. The Confederation had its accomplishments. Over 1,000 years, it built something grand, something enduring. And we destroyed it. But maybe that's what we do. break empires, and build new ones, out of the ashes of the old. But this is where the story changes, because this time we won't let anyone else write it. No more illusions, no more lies, no more peace. We will show them true strength. Confederation forces retreat into the core systems. Traitor planets broadcast false surrender. Human sleeper agents seize key positions. Key, at least, for a time. For the next several months, infiltration teams strike across the Confederation. First, sabotaging supply depots, fuel refineries, troop transports. Then they move to command centers, propaganda hubs, training facilities. By the time the galaxy realizes what's happening, it's too late. Throughout the Outer Rim, entire regiments lay down their arms. Orbital fleets turn tail and flee. Planet after planet falls into human hands. It's as if someone cut the legs out from under the Confederation. The generals on top realize the jig is up. They know the game is lost. Surrender is the only option left. But the question lingers: how? How did this happen? How did we do it? How could a feral species so lacking in resources achieve such a flawless victory? The answer, as always, is fear. Fear of a new plague. Fear of an unstoppable advance. Fear of extinction. We exploit their deepest terror, their nightmare scenario. And in doing so, we discover our greatest asset. They fear us. Good. Let them fear us. Fear is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more they fear, the weaker they become. The weaker they become, the more we grow. And in that growth, we discover our potential. But most importantly, we discover our purpose. I am a writer from a multi-award-winning sci-fi podcast. And thanks for watching this, a short little thing. Do you want to hear more about us? You should check out our full audio drama. There's a link in the description below. Now leave a comment. Tell me what you thought. What do you want to see from us next? And hey, if you liked this video, hit subscribe because we're just getting started. Peace out. So this is pretty cool. A few months ago, a friend and I started talking about doing a podcast together. An informal chat where we discussed the future of storytelling and the tools we use to make it. Specifically, what happens when AI gets really good at writing fiction? There are a lot of possibilities there. And since I've been thinking about this stuff for the past 5 years, I figured I have some thoughts. So I pitched my friend on the idea of a series of videos instead. Something a bit more visual, like a show. And he said, "Oh yeah, I have an idea for a show." So here we are. Here I am. He is still working on his part of the deal. Anyway, here's how this works. Each week we'll publish a new episode, usually about 15 minutes long, sometimes longer. It's kind of up to us. The topics will vary. Sometimes it'll be about tools and tech. Sometimes it'll be about writing or storytelling. And sometimes it'll be about whatever we're working on. Occasionally, we'll bring on guests. People we admire, people we want to learn from, people who can teach us things we don't know. And those episodes, well, they're only going to be available here. Not on other platforms, just here. I know it's a bummer. Believe me, I wish there was some way to do this that didn't involve greedy middlemen taking a cut of everything I earn. But until technology solves that problem, this is the best we can do. So please, join me here. Watch the first episode, which is all about the tools I use to write my books. Check out the series and let me know what you think. Also, if you're interested in supporting this project, we've got a Patreon account set up. Not to gatekeep content, but to fund more ambitious projects. Honestly, I think we can build something really special here, and I would love to have your help. If you're not sure where to start, go to our page. You'll find our creator-owned stories there, including this novella, which has been downloaded more than 1 million times, and the full audiobook, which has been listened to more than 500,000 times. The best way to support this project is to become a member. Members get access to our weekly podcast, early access to ad-free videos, exclusive videos, deleted scenes from our TV show, and our growing catalog of original content. Plus, as we launch more merch, members get first dibs and discounts. If you're already a member, thank you. Thank you so much. This project is my passion, and I'm thrilled to share it with you. Now go watch the first episode. The summit was held in the ruins of Caleros Station. Once the Confederation's primary diplomatic corps, Caleros had been nearly gutted during the uprising of the Tathari colonies. The humans didn't start that war. We didn't even show up until it was almost over. But when we arrived, the fighting stopped in 2 days because everyone was suddenly more afraid of what came next. That's where they begged us to sit. Among the shattered glass, collapsed beams, scorched banners, still bearing the faded symbols of unity that never truly existed. We didn't fix the place. We let it stand as it was. A reminder. The delegation from Earth was smaller than expected. Just 12 of us. No advisors, no drones, no soldiers in formation. The Confederation sent nearly 200, and they still looked nervous. I watched them as they gathered around the negotiation table. A strange oval slab that once gleamed like frozen light, now scuffed and cracked. The delegates kept shifting in their chairs, glancing at us, as if waiting for us to gloat. But we didn't, because this wasn't victory, it was consequence. General Rios stood at the head of the table. She didn't wear a uniform, just civilian clothes, clean and quiet. She carried no weapon. She didn't need to. The galaxy had already seen what happened when she did. The first to speak was the Drazari Chancellor, a towering creature of translucent cartilage and glowing veins. "We were wrong," he said, without fanfare. "About your kind, about your ... capacity." Rios nodded once. She didn't thank him. "This isn't about apologies," she said. "It's about what comes next." The Chancellor bowed his head. "There's fear among the systems. Many are asking. If you intend to replace the Confederation..." Rios walked slowly around the table, eyes meeting each delegate in turn. "We didn't come to replace anything," she said. "We came to survive, and you made that impossible while pretending we didn't exist." No one spoke. The silence stretched long enough for them to sweat some, quite literally. As their ambient temperature sensors failed to hide their discomfort. "We won't form a new empire," Rios continued. "We won't impose Earth's laws on anyone. But make no mistake, we will never be underestimated again. And if ... others try," asked a soft-voiced Ishari envoy, her jelly-like form trembling ever so slightly. Rios turned to her. "We won't wait to be threatened. Not anymore. You had your chance to know us. You wasted it. So from this point on, every human presence in this galaxy is sovereign." That single word, sovereign, shook the chamber more than any threat could. Because sovereignty meant we wouldn't ask permission anymore. They tried to respond, to spin diplomacy again. Offers of shared technology, cultural exchange, limited galactic council seats. But we didn't take any of it. Not yet. Because first, we had to clean up the mess. You see, while the Confederation was busy fearing us, they forgot to look inward. In their panic, they turned on each other. Alliances frayed. Borders collapsed. Former allies became scavengers. Old grudges resurfaced, and in the vacuum, something else emerged. Groups, dangerous ones. Cults, opportunists. Former slavers who blamed their collapse on Earth. Rogue fleets made up of deserters from shattered navies. Alien warlords who claimed to be the true resistance against the human tide. They used our name like a curse, so we hunted them. Not for conquest, for correction. We liberated the Rimworlds from the calorie purifiers without fanfare. No parades, no monuments. Just the silent, efficient removal of monsters who'd used Confederation law as a mask for centuries. We brought food to systems that had been blockaded. Medicine, 2 stations left abandoned when their AI administrators fled. We patched power grids and shield networks using tech we had learned from their own stolen databases. And we didn't ask for payment. We asked for one thing only: memory. We told them, remember who we were when you ignored us. Remember what happened when you chose arrogance over empathy. And remember this next time you see a planet like Earth, small and scarred and loud, ... Don't look away. The greatest mistake was not in fearing us. It was in never taking the time to understand that pain builds more than rage. It builds purpose. Okay, so I remember Earth before the stars. This isn't a history lesson, it's personal. I was 12 years old, I think, and the sky was full of city lights. And even though it was night, the sky was still full of light. So I looked up and I wished that there were real stars. And then I thought maybe I could move to the country and get away from all the lights and see the stars at least then. And I wondered if other kids had the same idea. If so, would they sneak into my backyard to watch the stars with me? Or would they take my telescope and break it? We used to look up at the sky with hunger, with wonder. We called it the final frontier, but we were wrong. The final frontier wasn't space. It was recognition. And I remember the first time that I truly saw another species looking up at the sky with the same kind of wonder that I felt when I was a kid. It must have been about 5 years ago, maybe 6. I was on assignment with the fleet. We were chasing rumors of an archaeological find, something big. And we tracked these rumors to a world. We found the dig site. We found the artifact. It was huge, a monolith almost 300 feet tall. It was older than the oldest ruins that we knew. And it was covered with glyphs that hinted at technologies that we didn't know existed. It was amazing. But the quietest thing was watching the people who found it. They were tiny, bird-like things, with feathers and beaks and claws. And they circled the monolith and chirped and chattered. They argued amongst themselves. They sang songs. And then finally, one of them stepped forward, stood on a rock, and screamed at the top of its lungs, "Stars." I could hear the wonder in its voice, the awe, the sheer joy of discovery. And I thought, they don't have a word for it. How can they not have a word for it? Then the realization hit me. We don't need words for things that we can't see. And I realized that until that moment, neither did they. But now that they had discovered it, now that they had seen it, they would need words. They would need stories. They would need to share it. And somehow, that made the artifact itself seem smaller, less important. It's been 13 years since the Confederation's surrender. It's not a formal one, not a ceremony or a declaration, but a surrender in all the ways that mattered. The Confederation doesn't command anymore. They ask. They don't assume anymore. They listen. And Earth. We didn't become rulers. We became reminders. I teach now. Strange, I know. A former battlefield analyst lecturing on alien psychology and human conflict theory. Well, because the truth is, classrooms feel more dangerous to the old order than warships ever did. Because ideas are seeds and humans know exactly how to grow them in hostile ground. My students are 11 different species. They sit side by side. Some once fought us. Some still don't trust us. And yet they come. Because for all our fire and fury, what they remember now is that we never asked to conquer. We only asked to matter. There's a mural on the eastern wall of the New Galactic Academy on Europa Station. It's not a flag or a battle scene. It's not even very big. It shows a human child and an alien child standing over a map of the galaxy, pointing at nothing in particular. Underneath, in over a dozen languages, it reads, "Seen, heard, counted." That's what we fought for. Not territory. K's. Not dominance. Not revenge. Acknowledgement. The historians still debate when the war really ended. Some say it was the fall of Trelos. Others, the siege of Kalos Prime. Some even say it ended when the first Confederation citizen refused to carry a weapon against us and walked away instead. But for me, It ended the day as Centauri grandmother knocked on my office door after class and left a small, rough-carved figure on my desk. A human, arms raised, not in victory, but in invitation. No words, no note. Just a small offering from a species that once couldn't bear to look us in the eye. I still have it because it means they finally saw us, not as monsters, not as anomalies, but as equals. The galaxy runs differently now, slower in some ways, freer in others. We don't lead it. We don't even guide it. We challenge it. Every time a law is passed, they ask how it will be interpreted on Earth. Every time a treaty is signed, they ask how humans might respond. And every time a small world lights up its first Skylane beacon, someone whispers, "Will they be like the humans?" They say it with fear and with hope, because the truth, the part no one wants to admit, is that deep down, they envied us. Not our rage, not our chaos, our ability to suffer and still sing. To break and still rebuild, to lose everything and still care. We were never the galaxy's most powerful species. We just refused to stay silent. And in a universe that forgot how to listen, that made us the loudest voice of all.